This is something that we talked about when the Saudi deal for WrestleMania was announced. And it's very, very possible. I saw there was on Ariel Helwani, there was they were talking about he was talking with a guest, and I forget who the guest is. I should look him up. And they said, because I think they were talking about boxing and I'm sorry, mixed martial arts, Dana White boxing and how they're dealing with, the Turkey Al-Sheikh. And the dude said, when you're dealing with the Saudi Sports Authority, they do things their way and it's difficult to get your way in. If they want this to be marquee and kind of like marquee plus, then the idea is they're going to plunk down a shit ton of money to bring in older, big name retired wrestlers. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus CM Punk, right? The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson versus Roman Reigns or Cody Rhodes. Right? So those are two that I could totally see them being like, okay, because Stone Cold, his last match wasn't that long ago. Maybe they're going to go after him. If they start doing that with more matches, there's the distinct possibility that your top 5 marquee matches are going to be ass. Imagine this. You take the worst of the Saudi Arabia matches that we've had so far. Undertaker, Goldberg, Brothers of Destruction versus DX. Imagine having 4 or 5 of that quality match as your WrestleMania co-mains events,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to be something that, number one, would Triple H be able to fight against that? If that's what they want, would he be successful? And if he's not, and he's like, all right, I guess we're going to have Undertaker versus Brock again, or Undertaker versus HBK again.
Uncle Howdy.
Uncle Howdy. I'll be honest, I'd be down with that. But if they're going to put together just strictly who can we afford, bring back Kane, just the marquee names from the 90s and early aughts. Let's try to get John Cena to 3 months later come back after he retires.
Well, 15 months later.
I mean, John Cena, I'm sorry, you're right. It's not next year, it's the year after. Yeah. Oh, look, Cena's been putting on banger matches. I don't know if, 13 months afterwards or 15, whatever it's going to be.
Yeah.
There's the possibility that this is going to be a shit show.
Yeah, there's a distinct possibility if the early rumors are true that, WWE is apparently being given $250 million or up to $250 million to put on the show with the idea that they will spend that money, some of that money, to entice retired legends to come out of retirement for one night only.
Yeah.
Or I guess, yeah, one night only. To return to the ring to take part in WrestleMania 43. And if there's a template they could potentially follow to make the matches maybe less crappy, it would be Kevin Owens and Stone Cold. Because it wasn't like, oh, you're going to be in the wrestling ring for 15 minutes and put on a typical wrestling match. It was a brawl that even up to the last minute, we weren't sure if it was going to be a match or not. It was. There was a finish. And while it wasn't a technical masterpiece, it was enjoyable. It was fun.
Yeah.
But performers like Stone Cold are only going to do that if they think they can do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know about, I'm sure, like we heard before when The Rock was getting ready for his return a couple of years back, he was training like hell. And I would assume The Rock, he's got a certain quality performance he has in mind that he has to meet for him to make it worth his while as a professional. You know what I mean?
At what point, though, does the number of zeros on a paycheck I'm not trying to be so cynical, but
No, I think I don't think that's outside the realm of out of bounds there to be cynical about that. Because who's to say that if they throw $30 million at Dwayne, even if he's not necessarily in shape, all right, he'd be like, all right, I'll do a tag match at least. Me and
Right,
Stone Cold
exactly.
tagging against somebody,
Yeah.
and
Is this? Yeah.
I think the real potential pitfalls would happen if it's legend versus legend. You got to
For
have
sure.
if you're going to have a legend in the ring, you got to have them against somebody who's a top tier
carry a
worker
match.
that's currently wrestling now.
Yeah. There's also this. Isn't there the potential for this to be? I mean, at least the first one in recent memory, at least in terms of the 2-night shows, where it's possible that none of the world titles are going to be defended in either of the main events.
It's a possibility, yeah.
If you have, let's say they do Roman Rock,
That'll main event night too, yeah.
that'll main event night too. Of course it will. Doesn't necessarily mean either of those guys are going to be the title, or the champion rather, the title. Unless, what if the Saudi Sports Authority guy starts trying to book the show himself? That's the second thing. It's not just the matches. It's the road starts early.
Yeah.
Right? So a year from November at War Games in 2027, 2026, kind of, the road might begin because you start building your stories for Mania pretty early on. Right now, we've got Seth Rollins versus CM Punk in September, which actually goes back months and months before then.
Yeah.
And it's entirely possible, and maybe not, a sure thing, but it's at least possible that world title match, Rollins versus Punk, is going to happen at WrestleMania 2026.
I'd be surprised if it doesn't, honestly.
This story is already going.
Mm-hmm.
When you're selling your show for that much money, will they care about building stories leading into?
I mean, if WrestlePalooza is any indication, no.
And that's not even a Saudi deal.
Nope.
WWE doesn't even care about that because they're like, oh, that's some good money we're smelling in the air right now.
Exactly. So, I mean, another thing to consider regarding that is obviously people who are full-time with the company wrestling on a weekly basis. They will be available on a weekly basis to advance whatever stories they decide to come up with.
Mm-hmm.
But part-timers and legends, that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah.
So if they're going to care at all about even like the bare minimum story, they're going to be carried. Those stories will be carried by the full-time roster members. And you're going to have, say, Undertaker has a match against Uncle Howdy. Throw that out there. Undertaker's going to be on TV
now. Okay, so
like 3
when we
times.
do our We Book Raw of this, that's clearly the match that you're pushing for. Gotcha.
I guess.
Okay.
I don't know. Like Undertaker will be on TV like 3 times to advance the stories, and half the time Uncle Howdy's we do it as promos on VHS tape. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what they did before. That's what they did
With Bray.
They did. Yeah, with Bray.
Well,
That's
Undertaker,
exactly
I don't
what
think
they
showed
did.
up at all.
He didn't. He did not show up. They had a casket
So,
in the urn.
and the build to that match, not that great because there was not a whole lot of interaction. There was no interaction between the two competitors. That's another concern. There's a lot of potential issues, assuming that the card is going to be, filled with a lot of legends and part-timers from both simply the creative side, the in-ring side of things. There's a lot of potential issues that could make the quality of the show not exactly the best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know Triple H says you're going to see a level of stardom you've never seen before on this WrestleMania, which again leads me to believe they're worried about marquee more so than quality.
Mm-hmm.
But it remains to be seen. I don't know how many people are going to be willing, regardless of the sums of money you're going to be throwing their way, willing to come out of retirement for a match. Don't know. Remains to be seen.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be an interesting test to see because we'll probably hear in the reporting in the lead up who is being approached, who's turning it down, and who's taking them up on it. you know?
Yeah. So
And, yeah.
Shawn Michaels just talked. Apparently, he's having double knee surgery. Oh, he was on a Nightcap with Ocho Cinco and Shannon Sharp.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Worlds collide. That's cool. That's awesome. Love that.
Yeah, he did, when asked, I guess, about making a comeback, I guess he said, not a chance, Shawn Michaels.
Yeah. You know, and you got to think after that last one, number one, I think I looked that up, and because, you know, we were talking about what's the biggest single payout in wrestling history. So he got apparently like the general, you know, legend deal for coming back for Saudi is in the, it's around 2 to 3 million. You know, depending on how you view the deal, like him, Goldberg, I think Undertaker, they all got around 2 to 3 million. The Rock, his deal, which encompassed WrestleMania 40, was, I mean, that was, I think, you know, he got like around 10 million, I think, in stock for TKO. So that's probably in terms of like, hey, we're putting together a package for you, primarily to come back and do this match, but also for you to be general dude who ambassador for WWE when it is convenient for you. You know, I still don't know exactly what the fuck that was. Is he actually a director of the board? I don't know if that exists. I don't know. But The Rock for WrestleMania 40 would seem to be the biggest single payout. And if that was in the neighborhood of 10 to 20 or something like that, 10, 15, then I could see him getting up, you know, more than that. It's like a Jim Carrey movie.
Yeah, 20 million minimum, you'd think.
Yeah, you would think so. You know, hey, maybe, I don't know if like he can get any ownership in the Saudi Sports Authority or something like that. Live Golf, maybe. I don't know. But maybe there's some more incentives for him there. I don't know. But it seems like The Rock definitely is in a really good position. He might want to start eating some more salmon and bulking back up
Maybe.
after he plays Chicken Man, Larson.
Yeah.